so kind, staring out into space, asking God to hear my case, trying to think of all things past. How long will my memory last? With purple angel, purple angel, purple angel, you're next to me.
Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to Alzheimer's Speaks Radio. I'm Lori LeBay, the host and founder of Alzheimer's Speaks, and I'm coming to you live from Alive and Social here in Minneapolis, Minnesota, in our brand new studio, which is a lot of fun. For those of you that are new to our show, I always just like to give people kind of a little background on who the heck we are. Basically, Alzheimer's Speaks is an advocacy-based company providing multiple platforms to shift our dementia care culture from crisis to comfort worldwide. We believe that by joining forces and sharing knowledge and just having these everyday conversations about life with dementia, we're going to be able to remove the stigmas attached to memory loss and help those living with the disease continue to live with purpose. Together, we can help everybody understand the true needs of this disease and, again, remove the myths and stigma that create so much fear and isolation for not only those diagnosed, but their family and friends and communities at large. At our core, Alzheimer's Speaks believes that collaboration is the only way we're going to win this battle against dementia. And I know it's working because of you. All of your likes and clicks and shares has had a huge impact on raising awareness. And in doing so, you have gotten Alzheimer's Speaks to be the number one influencer online for Alzheimer's, according to ShareCare and Dr. Oz. And for that, I can't thank you enough. So while you're listening to this, if you wouldn't mind continuing to push out the show to your Facebook friends, to your Twitter tribes, to your Google circles, to your LinkedIn colleagues, much, much appreciated, because together we really can make a difference. And we are. And that's pretty dang exciting if you ask me. The other thing I want to let you know about Alzheimer's Speaks is we're all about giving hope and raising everyone's voice. So we don't just have experts on our show or people deemed experts. A lot of people call me an expert because I've been dealing with my own mother's dementia for 30 years and because of the work that I do, but I don't believe any of us are true experts. I think we all have a lot of knowledge, and we just have to learn how to open up and share about it, because there's always somebody who needs a hand up. So here on our show, you will hear people who, voices of those who have dementia. You will hear family and friends who are caring for somebody with dementia. You will hear from business professionals. You will hear from authors. You will hear from movie directors and actors, from advocates to researchers. We are open to talking to everyone because we believe that's the only way we're going to make a significant difference in shifting the way that we care, is, again, by sharing knowledge. So, again, I just want to thank all of our listeners and our supporters here on Alzheimer's Speaks. I also want to give a shout out to a couple of our sister shows here at Alive and Social. One is called Apples to Apples, and it airs Monday at 2:30 with Scott and Drew Applebaum. And they focus primarily on sports, and it's a father-son team, and you'll hear them banter, and you'll find out if father really knows best or not. And then Thursday at 4 o'clock, Mortgage and BS is on with Tom Smith and BT. And they talk about mortgages and home ownership and splatter in some entertainment there as well. So check both of those shows out if you don't mind. Right now, I'd like to go ahead and introduce our guests. Our first guest, and we're all going to be speaking at once here, is Goodwin Loehr, and she was born in Germany and raised in Switzerland, and she migrated to the U.S. 32 years ago, and she says she absolutely loves this country. She met her husband, Don, in Fort Lauderdale, and he was a Texan who had served 8 years as a proud U.S. Marine in the Korean War, and was also a photographer and sailor. They spent a wonderful and exciting, adventurous 28 years together, traveling around Europe, and the later 4 years, she says, as gypsies in their motorhome going across the U.S. And they also spent 8 months in New Orleans helping Hurricane Katrina victims there. So that's pretty cool and tells you a lot about this couple. Joy had told me that her world stood still when her husband, Don, passed away almost 2.5 years ago from Alzheimer's. And, just from my brief conversations with Joy, I met her when I was speaking down in Florida a while back. She is just a passionate advocate. And I'm so excited to have her on the show because she's got a really interesting concept called Don's World, which is kind of a spinoff of the Dementia Village that we'll be talking about a little bit later. So welcome, Joy. How are you today?
I'm doing fine. Thank you very much, Lori, to
great.
have me on your show.
Great. Let me go ahead and introduce Donna True, who is a licensed clinical social worker, and she's the program services coordinator for the Southeast Florida chapter of the Alzheimer's Association. I also got to meet Donna when I was down in Florida and spoke at one of their conferences, which was just a thrill. And Donna has been with the association since 2002 and working with people with memory disorders since 1994. She's devoted her professional career to working with those who are affected by Alzheimer's and other types of memory disorders. Donna has been a support group facilitator since 94, and she is also a volunteer with the Honor Flight Southeast Florida. So welcome, Donna. How are you today?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you so much, Lori. Thanks for having me on your show today.
Well, great. Before we go any further, can you explain to people what the Honor Flight Southeast Florida is that you volunteer with?
Honor Flight is actually national, but our hub is called the Southeast Florida Hub. And what we do is we take World War II veterans to Washington, D.C. for the day. From South Florida is from the day. From other places it might take a couple days. But they get to see their memorials, and they are greeted and thanked for their service. It's so profound and so moving. Thousands of people meet them at the airport, and it's just a special day all about them, and they do not pay 1 cent to go.
Oh, very cool. I had not heard of that before. There's so many different programs out there, so it's always nice to learn a little bit more. So thanks for sharing that. Our next guest that I want to introduce is Harry Urban. And Harry is just a dear friend who I finally got to meet this year when I was out speaking in Pennsylvania. Harry is, what he says, celebrating 12 years of living with dementia. And he just has a fabulous voice and insight, and I think he's going to add a lot to our conversation today. Harry also is the founder of a support group on Facebook called Forget Me Not, and his ingenuity is just incredible. In fact, Harry has spin-off groups to Forget Me Not. One of them is a Spanish-speaking group, of which Harry doesn't speak Spanish, but he knew that there was workarounds to be able to get people to communicate, and so he made it happen. So welcome, Harry. How are you today?
I am fine, Roy. The snow is beginning to melt, and I'm a happy camper.
You guys have just gotten doused out there in Pennsylvania this year. My brother lives out there, too, and it's just the pictures have been something else. You'd think we'd get here in Minnesota, but they're saying we're going to see green grass next week. When we're getting up to the 40s, later on this week. So you just never know. Well, let's go ahead and get this conversation rolling because I'm really excited to talk about Joy's concept of Don's World and the dementia spinoff, Dementia Village spinoff. Joy, I'm going to point this question to you first. Can you tell me a little bit about your husband's diagnosis and how you cared for him? If you don't mind sharing, I think a lot of people would be interested in kind of knowing your background before we kind of get into concept.
Yeah, we tried, when he was diagnosed afterwards, we tried to live a very normal life, as normal as possible, staying very active, doing everything every day, some things my husband loved to do. And also realizing when he was not able to do something anymore, to not push too hard, because it was very sad at that moment. And we tried to be funny and laugh a lot together.
Oh, that's so sweet. And I think that that's so appropriate as sometimes we do push as care partners, and we really do need
Yeah,
to back off. One of my favorite
yeah.
sayings of
Mhm.
that Harry says is, "Hey, I like to relax before I got dementia. I still do," and that one always puts a smile to myself, and would when I dealt with my own mom, would make me step back and go, okay, who's this really about? Why are we doing this? And
Exactly, because exactly, I learned so much about what to do, what would help and so on. Then exactly when I saw that he started being sad and silent, so I realized, and then he even told me once, it is for me very sad to realize that I can't do it anymore, so please don't push. And so I realized that.
that's nice that you listened. And I think that that's something as care partners we all need to do. Joy, as a caregiver, as a care partner, what were some of your biggest challenges that faced you, especially when you didn't have any family nearby you?
Yeah, that was sometimes a challenge because you don't know where to call, where to who would be there. I was very, very lucky that I met Donna Cho really, and she was there when I needed her, and I had a couple of other friends from a social event, and they even came and helped me when I needed some kind. But it is, sometimes you need someone immediately. And that is a big problem. Therefore, I started my world, that you have really the environment and the help, not half an hour ago away, but immediately is there when you need it, okay?
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Joy, now you had heard about the Dementia Village in the Netherlands. Do you want to tell people a little bit about that concept and what sparked your interest about it?
Yeah, as you realize, I'm from Europe, and my whole family got a little bit involved, and they also told me about it. It's Hogewey in the Netherlands, close to Amsterdam, and they created something like a little village for only Alzheimer's people. My positive was that is exactly people feel confident if they're just with each other, because they don't have to be ashamed. They don't care if someone tells the same joke 3 or 4 times. But on the other hand, because you don't live there, you as a caregiver, it is very expensive really, because they have caregivers, some, in the stores or whatever, but it's very expensive. It's like $7,000-8,000 a month because you have a caregiver, a home health care person there, which you have to pay, 24 hours. So that is why I decided a lot of people my age, they want to care for their loved ones because that is their life, and they need a place where they have all the help, advice immediately on site, okay? And it's not breaking their bank, really, that it is much cheaper on both sides. On one hand, you care. On the other hand, you don't need as much care because you are still in charge.
Mm-hmm. Now, one of the things, just with Hogewey, my understanding is, from the research I did, it was there was about 152 residents who lived there. And basically, for those of you that aren't familiar, on our blog, there's a short video that you can go see that'll lead you to other videos about it as well. But they, this is an enclosed village where people don't leave. They eat, they sleep, they walk around, they shop, they go to restaurants. Everything is in this enclosed village, and so they can't exit, but family and friends can come in. And one of the things that it makes me think of is Bob DeMarco with the Alzheimer's Reading Room also always talks about entering their world. And the Dementia Village actually brought that concept into a physical matter in terms of entering their world. And they live there. There's no long hallways or corridors. Instead, they live in groups of 6 or 7 to a house with 1 to 2 caretakers. And their homes are furnished according to the time period when the resident short-term memory stops. So that might be the 50s, it might be the 70s, and it's all the way down from linens and and dining ware to TVs and refrigerators, the whole 9 yards. It's really a quite interesting concept. And again, people are able to move around freely because the grounds are enclosed, so they can admire the landscaping and the fountains and rest on benches. And then the caretakers are kind of stationed all over the village. And from the information I've got in front of me, it says there's 250 full and part-time nurses and geriatric specialists that wander the town as cashiers and grocery store attendants and post office clerks and all different types of roles, so that they are always monitored and safe there. And they said that the finances had been simplified because there was kind of a flat fee payment, and then it sounds like it's subsidized by the government, which is something that we don't have available to us here right now. And and I think that's one of the interesting factors you had, where in the Dementia Village, it was strictly the only one living there was the person with dementia. And your concept for Dawn's World is really to say, let the care partner be part of this environment to help bring down the cost. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly. And also, I know that in Europe, property is very expensive. Okay, so they can't really do it in big areas. They only have really like a courtyard and then the little places around it. What we can do here is a much bigger area where people can also have more activities. And you as a caregiver can always take care. It is like a place where you can drive around in a little golf cart. So, and it's gated also, so you can't get out. You can get out, your car is parked outside, but these, your patients, they can't get out. They can wander, but they never get lost really because they're all, in the same area.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm going to ask Harry's opinion of the Dementia Village. And Harry, have you gotten a chance to look at the Dementia Village concept, where just the person with dementia lives in the village?
No, I haven't seen any that is dedicated to dementia. Now, in my local area, we have some communities that are starting up that are kind of self-sufficient. In other words, they have the development, but they also have their own like grocery stores, gas station, things of that sort. That all your commodities that you need is within this area.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see the concept though of a dementia village.
Yeah.
And I've yet to see one.
Yeah, we don't have one to my knowledge here in the U.S. I know California was working on it, and their website kind of went blotto. I know that funding is always an issue. Donna, are you aware of anything here in the U.S.?
No, I am not aware of anything, especially like what Joy is talking about, which is the spouses being able to be there, getting help in an instant. And I think that's one of the concepts Joy and I had talked about, was the fact that he might need somebody it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon our time, Eastern time, and he might need somebody at 2:30. But you can't get an agency to come in spur of the moment or spontaneously like that to help or assist. So I don't know of anything that where both people are surrounded by support.
Okay, great. Joy, are you aware of any other kind of movements to build some type of dementia village here in the U.S.?
You know what? I have contacted a lot of people really, and I have gotten from a lot of, like Disney World or Steve Wayne from the resort in Las Vegas, and so I have gotten a lot of very nice answers. Unfortunately, I'm not far enough that they can really jump into it because, if you talk to people, most of them have somewhere a relative, a friend, a loved one who has it. Okay, so there are a lot of people really get involved, and it's going to be more and more important because, the numbers are frightening what is going to happen. And with My Village, not only you can take care of the loved one you have there, but you have 24 hours, 7 days a week. You have doctors on site, you have security guards on site, you have nurses, you have social workers for activities 6 hours a day. So you never really have to worry about calling 911 where they overdose you, because you have everything what you need really there. It's exactly like a little bit like Hogewey. You have restaurants, you have even a party room, where you can dance, you have activity, but you have, what is also important, you have, first of all the neighbors, they know the items, and issues, so they can help, but you have also always someone there. When you need it, they are there, and not, like Donna said, when I called home health care, they said in 8 hours, 8 hours, that is normally much too long. And then they're getting frightened also because they don't have enough training to help, and 800 numbers didn't work, doctors. So a lot of my friends, the only possibility they had in some moments to call 911. And then we had the cases that 911, they overdose because they really are not trained. They don't have the time. So they get overdosed, and in the long run, that ruins the system and organs, and they never come really back like you left them. It is a sad situation. And I think the main thing is really that you, the loved one, stay in charge. And when I had my husband the last week in hospice home, even there the head nurse told me, and I always remember her for that, because I had some discussion or issues with one of the nurses, and she said, you know what, I have to talk to them because the loved one knows best. You read in the eyes of your loved one what to do, how he feels, and then you should be in charge and decide what to do, with the help and advice of professionals, but still you should be the one in charge.
Mm-hmm. Now, your background, you've done some building and construction, if I'm not mistaken, and you've kind of played with some plans and things. So why don't you tell people a little bit about, your plan and how you see it being different? I was really intrigued with the way you have this laid out and how things are segregated to give space, and you've got kind of early, moderate, kind of late stages, yet it's all integrated and really flows quite nicely with activities and things. So do you want to talk kind of a little bit about your site plan and how you devised it and why?
Yeah, okay. I went from a gated community, okay, and then I went a little bit to Disney World, if you want, also, with a center, that you have a center with a gazebo, you have, you can go around the center, even walking or in a golf cart, and then you have activities there, you have the restaurants with outdoor cafes and benches there. But then exactly you have also next, and then you have like I don't know how to explain it, like a grapes or whatever. You have three arms which are going from the center, where you have all these little apartments. 1-bedroom apartments, always 6 in a block, with a laundry, and you can park your golf cart in front, and then during the apartments. Similar, you bring your own furniture, and so you can, decorate it as you want, but very practical, so that, if ever, your husband is or wife is in a wheelchair or in a hospice bed, that you can still wheel them in and out of the doors, to the shower and sitting area, where you can enjoy, and then very carefully with the kitchen area that they can't, they're not in danger there. So everything is really thought about like they're in nursing homes also. As you know, I lived for 8 months or 7 months in a secured section of a nursing home, to take care of my husband. and learned there a lot, saw there also some things which I really didn't like. So that is one of the reasons why I afterwards started my idea, because I want to help people, and I have seen that it is not enough to a certain point to, if you want to, not everyone is able to, be it out of time or out of other reasons, to take care really. And they think when they come once a week to visit for an hour, and then the person sits there very nicely dressed, and so that is it, And then they wonder, then after a month or so, this person, your loved one, doesn't recognize you anymore and doesn't remember you. I was there with my husband 24/7, and every time he called my name, I was answering and was there. So I always said, like my younger sister said, he never gave him the chance to forget me. He never forgot me. And that was my reward, really, that he keeps me even now going, because, a lot of time, when you not give up, but you have your husband or wife or in a place, they don't remember you, it is because they need it every day, and I have seen that when I lived there, that a lot of people forget, they don't remember you, and then, it's getting less and less, and they have less and less activity. We did a lot still together at the end, really a month before. He was still joking with me, he remembered me. We had still a decent life, an active, decent life, even if he was bedridden because of medication, all that happened before. But we still had a good life, exactly, and some people, even some nurses there in the hospice house where was there the last 7 days when he was on morphine, they even joked a little bit, that when I came in the room, his eyes lit up and he asked for me, that it's so rewarding when you can do that.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm going to throw this question to Harry. Harry, what do you think of a village, a community that you and Hazel would be able to live in together, where you would be able to roam the grounds and be safe, and if she still had to go to work, there would be some support staff there if needed. How would you feel about living in a community like that?
I would call that heaven. Now, because that's exactly how I would want to live. I don't want to go to a facility or village or whatever that is made up only of people living with dementia. Now, I say that because in my mind, they get the reputation of that's where we go to die. Now, if you have a village that your loved one can go to and live with you, and it's dementia friendly, and that to me that's heaven.
Mm-hmm.
It's a wonderful place to go. It's a wonder. You can call it home, and I could live there the remaining portion of my life because I could have all the things I needed right there.
Uh-huh. Well, in looking, and not everybody has this floor plan. I've got kind of this site plan that she's laid out, but it's got volleyball and activity space. It has outdoor activities like table tennis. It has mini golf. It's got a gazebo area. It has an area for music and entertainment, bakery and coffee, art, grocery store, shopping areas, and then it's got, doctors and a medical area as well. But it's just, there's even a little hot dog stand she's got in here. But, it's laid out really simply and beautifully. And I mean, all the way down to where the trash would be in the restaurants and so forth. And it looks like in these apartment units, there would be a shared laundry. Is that correct?
I'm sorry?
Is there like a shared laundry for people? A shared laundry?
A shared laundry, yeah. For six apartments, there would be one laundry or utility room, yes. Mm-hmm. because that is also important. You need that a lot, and so it is, and I have there my own reserves, what happened in the nursing home, with laundry, so everyone has their own, can go there and have laundry. Yes.
Okay. Do you know when you designed this, roughly about what size is a unit for square footage?
You know what? I think it is like 800, I thought about like 800 square feet.
Okay. Because I was looking and I didn't see it, but the bedroom looks like it's decent sized and has plenty of room, and living room, kitchen, dining room is really nice and opened, and same with bathroom, looks quite roomy and stuff. So, and again, one of the concepts I like with this is that your living space extends outside your unit.
Yes.
And I think that there's a huge plus, in that concept. Donna, I'm sure you've seen this plan that Joy has put together. What do you think about this kind of communal living?
You know what? When Harry responded, he said for him it would be heaven. And that to me is the most important and most validating response we can get for this whole issue, because I think the concept is absolutely fabulous. And we can't even fathom how wonderful it would be to have that type of support, that type of recreation, that type of socialization in one place. So I love the concept. And I also know that Joy knows firsthand, having been the only person I know to ever have lived in the memory care section of an assisted living facility with Dawn. She knows firsthand what that is like versus, the community that she's talking about that allows people to really live their lives.
Mm-hmm. Agree. Now, she's so thorough. Not only has she kind of designed a site plan, but she's also, kind of done a budget here. And she's looked at year 1, 2, and 3, for occupancy. And I think these numbers are pretty realistic. And, looking at costs and things. Now, Joy, I know one of your goals was to try to get the pricing down in Don's World versus, let's say, a Dementia Village, by allowing the care partner to live with them. You want to talk to that a little bit?
Yes, exactly. Not everyone can, afford $7,000-8,000 a month. Plus, what I have realized, again, a lot of people my age, or if they can do it, they would love to be involved. They love to care. We have here in the neighborhood, we have an Alzheimer house. They only have Alzheimer patients, 2 in a room, which is already crowded. But then a lot of caregivers, they come in the morning at 7, and then they have nothing to do there. They watch their loved one sitting at a table, hanging their head on the food or so, and in the evening at 7 they leave again, and then at night they can fall. And so my aspect was that not only the costs down, also that you can still be there. You are allowed, for instance, to put a chair next to the bed. The patient doesn't fall out. Nursing homes are not allowed to do that, so people fall out. There's a lot of these rules and regulations, which is, to a certain point not so good. If you have, like in Florida, we have 500,000 of Alzheimer people, and you have one rule for all of them, so that doesn't work really nice and good. So you should stay in charge. First of all, the cost goes down, but second, also you stay in charge, and that's what you want with advice. You don't want to feel alone and without help, but that you get there, because you have all the time someone who's there who can advise and help you.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think the other thing that's so nice is just the camaraderie for the care partner as well. This gets back to, I guess one of the things that I really push for is getting people back to their relationships instead of being a care partner and care recipient all the time, letting them be husband and wife or, son and mother or, daughter and father or friends, whatever it might be, but letting them be who they are and engage in all different types of ways, and be in an environment that inspires and engages instead of disconnects, and and isn't really tolerant of behaviors that can happen with dementia. Harry, how do you think Hazel, your wife, would feel about moving into a community like this?
I think she would welcome it, Roy, simply because it takes a lot of the stress and fears off of her shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that I'm sort of protected. But the one thing I wanted to mention too is a lot of these places try to have as much activities as they possibly can. But now I'm speaking for myself. I don't need a TV that has 256 different stations when I only watch maybe 2.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see a lot of benches. I spend an awful lot of my time sitting outside, watching the birds, butterflies, things like that. I don't need to have a lot of activities to keep me going. And I think they ought to have like tables that people can go and play checkers and play chess and things of that sort. And like with me, I would have to have my own bench.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to have a place that when I go outside, I know where to go and sit.
You can have it in front of your apartment. There's plenty of space to put a bench there that you can sit and watch everyone who goes by or the birds.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, that's wonderful.
And there's an area for gardens here too, isn't there?
Yes.
Which looks quite large, which would be great too. And I mean, there's just so many, depending on what's going on. I mean, I would imagine there could be benches by the mini golf and the volleyball and the gazebo. All
exactly,
different.
and you have social workers 6 hours a day there under my plan, which would, organize and motivate. So if you are still, can do it, during that time, your caregiver can leave the property and go shopping or whatever they need outside, okay? So you have activities 6 hours a day where you are, under professional help.
Okay. If people want to participate in that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that would be, that would offer there, and you can, as a caregiver, you can participate also, it might be fun, that the couple do it together.
Yep. Well, and I could see that real easily. I'm just thinking of our memory cafe people, and a lot of them get together for lunch and help one another out. So if somebody needed to go run someplace, they're comfortable, with their loved one, and it's kind of another friend, but they get their needs and and so forth, and the person with dementia is comfortable as well, and that's just a huge, huge piece, when people are comfortable.
Yeah. You know what, Donna and I, we went from time to time. We went to the city center here, and then we played table tennis. Mm-hmm. And we had the whole room for ourselves, and the ball was all over the room. But we had the most fun. We were laughing like crazy, and we both had a lot of fun there. It was very nice. Just getting activity and laugh together.
Yep. Very, very important, and would be interesting. If there's any listeners out there that are interested in this concept, we definitely want to hook you up with Joy, because in order to do this, of course, we need funding. But she's done a lot of the legwork here, because of her background and because of, what she's lived through. One of the points that you made when I asked you kind of for some talking points, you referred to, my husband and you spent nearly 8 months as paying inmate in a secure section of a nursing home. And those are really powerful words. And I do think that people kind of feel imprisoned in those secure sectors.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of communities are trying to change that. But I don't think we're there in most of the communities yet. They've gotten a lot better than they were, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, even 10 years ago. But I think a concept like this just puts it to a whole nother level. And, I love the idea of allowing people to continue to live together and help reduce cost and yet be supportive and meet their needs better. I mean, to me, it's almost a no-brainer in terms of this. Now, in this plan, would it be the way you've devised it? I know nothing's set in stone, but would it be a monthly rate, or would there be a buy-in, kind of like a co-op, or have you?
No, it's a monthly rate. It is like you rent the place, which is like $1,000 for the rent, which includes TV and electricity and water and all that, and then you pay depending on your level you are additional for the care. It starts at about $1,000 that you have doctors and Arizona staff, and they even come and help, so and so often. And then the next level is a little higher, and the late stage it is like $2,500 a month for the level of care you need, with showering and changing and all that. That is included in this amount, which is then with the rent, it is maximum like $3,500, which includes nearly everything besides your medication and your food, really. And you have still all the help you want when you need it, okay?
Mm-hmm. Now, would a person and because there's a lot of people who live alone, so let's say I have dementia and I don't have someone to care for me, I don't have a partner, I don't have a significant other or a child who could live with me, would I be able to live in this concept and then just hire more services then?
You know what? I would say at that time what you have and that is existing, if you that you would hire someone to live with you, really, to a certain point. That you would hire someone on a monthly, salary who would live and stay with you. That is the other possibility.
Okay. Just checking that out. I know I was just out in Seattle and where I was there, they encourage people to hire their own personal, care partners, and it works out really good. And then it doesn't affect their base fee and kind of filter down to everybody. Which a lot of times that's what happens is these costs get spread over and not everybody needs to be paying for them. And so, and that seemed to be working really, really well for them. And families were very happy with it as well.
Yeah. You know what, that would be even, I always said, just think about you would live in your apartment by yourself and you have Alzheimer's, okay? What would you need? You would need a home health care person in the long run who is there all the time to care for you, okay? That would be the same, but on top of that, you would have all the services there, and because not always a home health care can do everything or is educated or has the knowledge to help all the time. In these cases, somehow the family has to agree that this person who is living there with you and is a employee of you, that they authorize her to or him to be in charge. Okay, that is some kind that they have to do that. That they are authorized to take care.
Yep. So there'd have to be a legal agreement for that. Harry, what are your thoughts with that in terms of, let's say you didn't have Hazel, and wanted to move into a community like this, but needed to hire somebody? What would your thoughts be on that?
Well, I come in contact with literally thousands of people that are living alone with this disease, and number one, they don't have the money to hire somebody to take care of them, and that's one of the problems that I'm fighting so hard for, to give these people some kind of help. I see how they live, and it's heartbreaking. You know, you think it doesn't happen. Everybody, when you think of somebody at the higher end of this disease, money-wise now, and I see more of the people down at the bottom that can't afford things and things like that. That's the ones I'm fighting for, and I think a community like that would be wonderful, because you're going to be surprised how many people help each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they become a family.
Yeah, I agree. But I don't know if you can necessarily rely on that either. And I think the community would have to watch that, and maybe it's something that, you know, people within the community, maybe they get on a list to assist in being a care partner for others as well.
Volunteer from time to time or so, you know. And you know, I would say more again that might be, you know, from time to time the case. Most of the people I have met, really, if you want, was that they live with their partner together, okay, or a friend, you know, or a son or a daughter who takes care, you know. So that is really, if you want, 90% of my concept, really, that someone from family can take care, okay. And then exactly the other would be that you had to hire someone, which I think still would be, to a certain point, maybe cheaper having someone there 24/7 than going in a nursing home by yourself also.
Mm-hmm. And it is sad how many people just can't afford that either, you know. But again, if the cost is down, because, you know, with your cost projections, it's quite a bit less than even moving into an assisted living. And so, so that makes a huge difference too. So, and hopefully our government will end up making some adjustments there as well. Donna, what about your thoughts on what we've been talking about? Anything you want to throw in here?
Not really. I think Carrie brings up some good points. A lot of the people my big concern is people that live alone already. They don't have a caregiver. They don't really have a family member that they could live with, and to afford somebody to live with you full time is out of the question.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a whole different issue and a whole different national, international problem. But in terms of what we're looking at, this concept for couples, pretty much, or even parents and adult children, I think you've covered so much of it together. All three of you have really covered all aspects, including the issue of funding, getting something like that built.
Yep. Now, I know the Alzheimer's Association hasn't gotten into housing. Is that something you would ever foresee them doing? And I know you can't speak from national at all, and I'm just putting you on the spot here a little bit. But would you ever see that coming up, or would you see them supporting a design like this, even if they're not and more of a sponsor from a media standpoint, maybe more so than a financial investor standpoint? Do you ever see something like that? I know that might get difficult because you'd start in one location and you're all over the globe, as far as this.
And that's a very good question, and I really don't know the answer. I mean, it's one of the big issues dealing with people who have Alzheimer's or a related dementia and their care partners. But in terms of housing, I don't know. I don't know that subject has ever been, mentioned with the Alzheimer's Association.
Yeah, and I guess I haven't seen it goal-wise for them. But again, things change, and organizations, can help in support in terms of just getting the word out. But again, we'd need to find some financiers, and maybe somebody who's already in the housing industry that would get, because the other thing we'd have to look at is, okay, what does this mean in terms of a regulation? Because we have the different levels, but where does this one fit? And how's it going to be scrutinized? that would be definitely something that people would need to know. And it appears, for the most part on this is really an independent living
Yes.
with social support. Am I reading that correctly, Joy?
Yes, because I got involved here also with a social activity center, and she told me the only person really who we have to get licensed through the gated community would be the social worker, because they would be to a certain point in charge of the loved ones when you might go shopping or so. So that is the only one who has to really be licensed through the gated community. Doctors, nurses, security guards, they have to be licensed, but they can be completely independent. So they are not falling under any rules and regulations. So the only thing exactly you don't even have, because it's like a gated community. You don't have all these rules and regulations from nursing homes, which are sometimes old and not really working, okay? So I checked on this, and it is pretty easy to get the license you need for a place like that.
Okay. Yeah, because that's a huge factor in and of itself as well. So, that's a big plus. Everyone's trying to kind of skirt the regulations because that drives cost up. When you've got somebody monitoring and saying you've got to provide services in X fashion and so forth there. So, another reason to get involved. And, nobody is saying that that this is the perfect concept, but let's get together and talk about it. I think it's pretty dang close, and it would be,
talk to the governor here, and he was very much, positive, but the problem, as you just said, I don't really want a grant from the government, because then you have all these rules and regulations. That would be an easier way to get the funding, but it would restrict you immediately, Therefore, I don't really want to go the way of funding. I talked to the VA also. They were very interested. But again, because, they have a lot of VA people who need really this help. But, I told them they build a huge nursing home here, and then what they do, they have 50 rooms with 2 beds for Alzheimer people. And I said, that is exactly normally what they don't want. They don't want to live 2 Alzheimer people in a room and then come, get, dressed and sit down for lunch or breakfast, and that's it. They want to have activities, and I'm in touch with them also, But again, my problem is a lot. The moment you get government involved, you get these rules and regulations, which again is my concept that you stay in charge. You are the one who decide what to do with the help, but you have you have still to make the decision, which a lot of people want, That's the difference.
It'd be interesting too because this is self-contained. Even if you partnered up with the dementia farms, I don't know if you're familiar with those, but those started out of state, and I want to say in Montana. I interviewed somebody who was brought them over to the U.S., but that would kind of be a respite that people could tap into too. And what was cool about the dementia farms is people could go there like it's a job, and help with the animals or help with the food, or if they just needed to go for a walk, they'd go for a walk. But they were active in the farm itself and the business of running it. And it was a pretty neat concept versus going and to a typical day center here where just activities are provided. It was really about keeping people engaged, building relationships, and feeling purposeful. Harry, what would your thought be with tying like a dementia farm with a concept like this?
I love that concept. I've heard of that from several different people, and I did some research on it. And I think the concept with the farm is like you said, is for like a vacation type thing. It's not where you go and live.
Mm-hmm.
But I was kind of interested to find out that were these villages, were they considered non-profit, or is it a business? that sort, like we have housing in this local area that the residents are charged. The rent is based on their income.
Mm-hmm.
So your next door neighbor could be paying a different rent than you are. Now, I know there's a lot of problems that go with that, but I don't know if that's a concept or not, because a lot of times when these places, when you hear about it and then you start talking about them, you find out that it boils down to the bottom line and not the care that the people are getting.
Mm-hmm.
But that's business, right? You understand that?
Yeah, and I'm not sure with Hogewey if that's a profit or non-profit. Joy, do you know?
Yes, is the difference you mean?
Mm-hmm.
I checked with an attorney really to a certain point, but he was not sure. He said also it's like a gray zone sometimes. Non-profit is more like a museum. My idea, because people are active there and making salaries, also it would be not for-profit company, but I for sure want that, because I have realized also, I had a couple of people who run nursing homes. They were interested, but they all want to make profit. So that is what I don't have in mind, because the moment you have for profit, it cuts down, like Harry said, on service and on activities. Then they cut a lot of things which you don't want to. So I want to have it like a not-for-profit organization.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're looking at yours for Don's World to be a nonprofit. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, not for profit. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, we haven't answered all the questions in the world today, but I think we gave it a good run for its money regarding housing options, and I found this to be a really interesting conversation, and I hope our listeners have as well. Harry, is there anything that you would like to add before we close the show?
I just hope that you're very successful in what you're doing. I think the concept is wonderful. Not many people would think of that. They're not thinking of that. And to sit and be involved in a conversation where people are looking out for us and not looking for anything in return. That's wonderful in my book.
Great. Thank you, Harry. And if anybody wants to reach Harry, you can go to Facebook and just search Forget Me Not, and you will be brought right to him. And Donna, anything that you would like to add? Donna True is with the Alzheimer's Association in Southeast Florida.
I want to thank Joy for all the time, effort, and thought she's put into this, all the people she's contacted to let this be known, and for thinking outside of the box. And as Harry said, she's thinking about the person who is dealing with the memory loss changes. And, as far as the Alzheimer's Association goes, we are available 24/7. So if anybody needs us, we're a phone call away.
Great. And that phone number is 800-272-3900. Again, that's 800-272-3900. And if you're down in Southeast Florida, you can go to www.alz.org/SE Florida for Southeast Florida. And Joy, how about you? Any last comments?
Yeah, that I need some help to make Don's World a reality, and to create for people to have a happy today world, even if they forget yesterday and don't plan for tomorrow, that they have a decent, happy today. And what I need is really some people to realize this project is some people, I always say, with heart, time, and money. That's sometimes hard to come by.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and passion will push this forward. And, we're at a stage right now where people are really starting to get creative. Collaborations are starting to come about. I think it's a really interesting concept. In fact, after the show, I am going to hook you up with somebody who might be interested in this. You never know. You just never know. And, if not them, maybe they've got a contact for you. But we'll just keep pushing this idea out there and asking people to mill it around. And, if you're a listener and maybe you can't be one to finance something like this, maybe you have a contact that you could share with Joy. And, could get this conversation going. And Joy can be reached via email at joy.florida @hotmail.com. That's joy, Joy, .florida @hotmail.com. And thank you all for joining our show today. I really appreciate this conversation with Joy and Harry and Donna. For those of you that missed our last radio show, you might want to check that out. We had Vicki Kind on, who is a bioethicist, and we talked about making the right decisions for other. Fascinating show. She's got a wonderful book and workbook that can help families in terms of making those correct decisions that they're comfortable with. Next week, we're going to have two guests on, and we are going to be talking about several types of new technology that you're not going to want to miss. And we're also going to have Joni Aldridge on, and we're going to be talking about a topic which is highly avoided when it comes to dementia. So tune in next week at the same time. And if you can't listen, know that all of our shows are always archived. Next Tuesday, we will also be doing one of our Dementia Chat sessions. That is at 11 Eastern, 10 Central, 9 Mountain, and 8 a.m. Pacific, and that is 4 o'clock if you're over in London. Our last Dementia Chats, we discussed how to improve dementia care, and then we ended up focusing on funding for families. I also want to do a shout-out to Skyline Senior Living and the Art of Alzheimer's, who both helped host screenings of His Neighbor Phil. I was out in Seattle all of last week and just met some fabulous people, saw some wonderful housing options out there as well through Skyline, and it was just a marvelous experience to be able to share that new Hollywood dementia film, His Neighbor Phil, with so many. On the blog, there's a couple of articles that might be of interest. On 212, there's one called Dementia, The Gift of Loving What You Do. And on the 15th, posted one called Loss and Memories, Precious Valentine. So feel free to go ahead and check those out as well. And don't forget to check out Apples to Apples, Monday at 2:30 with Scott and Drew Applebaum on Alive and Social here. And Mortgages and BS, Thursday at 4 p.m. with Tom Smith and BT. Have a wonderful week. I look forward to talking to you again next week. In the meantime, don't forget about your memory chip and focusing on your care for whoever, if it's a loved one or if you're a professional who cares. Please focus not so much on your tasks, though we still need to get those things done, but put first, are they safe? Are they happy? Are they pain-free? It will change how you do your tasks. Thank you.
Hi, this is Suzanne Newman, host of the Answers for Elders podcast and radio show. We are the North Star that guides you through the complicated journey of senior care with trusted experts in money, law, living solutions, and more. So join us on this station, your favorite podcast channel, or just go to AnswersForElders.com. Meet the way showers who will help your journey go a lot easier.